Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great Friday. Today, we're going to be talking about AI Jesus. And just like the title says, AI Jesus is a tool. So that has more than one meaning. But I don't know. I thought it was clever. Whatever. So AI Jesus is something that's been in the news for the last week because a church in Switzerland has put it in a confessional. And we're going to go into exactly what it is and what it's not. But then we're also going to talk about the AI aspect here. The article I have up that we're going to be going over is really does make a point, at least from the people who say they're there to. One second. All right, 1 second. Before we get into that the AI is there to help bridge a gap. I'm gonna tear that up really bad. But let's get into the article first. It's from Catholic News Agency. It is called "No, AI Jesus Isn't Actually Hearing Confessions, Fact Check." And so we're going to actually go through this entire thing. But please visit Catholic News Agency. They do a very good job of covering and fact checking in an appropriate way, even if it does mimic like the liberal layout, but the liberal layout just happens to be the correct layout in terms of taking a proposition and supporting it or moving against it. So this is done by Jonah McEwen. I hope I'm saying that right. So a bunch of news reports recently came out saying that an artificially intelligent Jesus has begun taking people's confessions at a Catholic church in Switzerland. So the church in Switzerland is St. Peter's in Lucerne, Switzerland. So that's the claim. A holographic AI Jesus has been created and deployed at a chapel in Switzerland specifically to hear confessions. And this is what they find. At St. Peter's Chapel in Lucerne, a historic parish church recently installed an innovative project that explores the use of virtual characters based on generative artificial intelligence in a spiritual context. In collaboration with the Immersive Realities Research Lab at Lucerne University of Applied Sciences and Arts. The AI program was reportedly trained with content from the New Testament and with the goal of allowing the Jesus avatar to verbally respond in one of 100 languages to question about the Bible from people entering the confession. So just a few things that I want to clarify is when it comes to St. Peter's, the use of virtual characters based on generative artificial intelligence. So that's like generic artificial intelligence. What that is a probabilistic model. So I deal with AI. I recently went to a conference with AI in the field that I'm in. I'm not going to clarify exactly what field I'm in, but I am a statistician. But generative AI is being looked at in the field that I'm in. And so we ended up talking about it. And we had people from Microsoft, Google, a lot of big wigs talking about it. And I got to talk with a lot of them. But the problem here is that generative AI is a probabilistic model at its core. It's about presenting answers it thinks are correct in a way that isn't going to always give you a correct answer. And so even though it says it was trained, which is to say that that's actually a statistical term, it was trained because they take a group of inputs and they're training it to then in relation to a group of outputs to get a probabilistic answer. So thinks are correct. So it's trying to think, like they're trying to mimic thinking, but it's not actually thinking. What it is it's probabilistic models, and which answer. So if you ask a question to this, it's going to go, which answer has the highest probability that will answer the question posed to the AI. Like that's what's going to happen here. And you see this in ChatGPT, you see this in other places. But let's get more into this. So numerous reports describe the Jesus avatar as a hologram, which is a 3D projected created with lasers. but a Deutsche Welle video of the installation in action showed that the artificial face of Jesus merely appeared on a curved computer monitor behind the confessional screen. So the installation is titled Deus in Machina, a Latin phrase meaning God in the machine, which, by the way, you want to talk about idolatry? Like, here, I'm going to back up. You want to talk about idolatry? That's a problem. Okay. So like the idea that you actually have God in a machine and they're naming it this. So idols, historically, if you don't know, it's about understanding that you're creating a statue. You're creating something that has the energies of God or the deity that you're praying to, and that you're able to manipulate it by praying to this specific statue. And this isn't just simply like praying, this is like a manipulation of energy. So it's like, if you're going to name this as God in the machine, like there's a lot of like philosophical and theological problems with doing that as Catholics. So it's a very big deal. So let me just minimize my face there. And it's and it is supposed to make, literary phrase Deus ex machina, but still, like, to name it that is not great. An announcement from the lab said that the project, which is described as an art exhibit, encourages thinking about the limits of technology in the context of religion. So before they break it down, I want to give you my breakdown. The idea that we need an art exhibit that not only utilizes a confessional, but people are able to talk to it and utilize the image of Jesus is fundamentally problematic at its core. Because this isn't like some random person that happens to look like Jesus. They're trying to make it look like Jesus. And they're trying to put words in Jesus's mouth based off a probabilistic model that does not give correct answers on a like 100% of the time. Like, AI is not this super intelligence, it's actually the lack of intelligence. And I actually have a video on my statistics channel, Learn to Stats, that goes over, like, I use ChatGPT and I ask it a question, a math question, and both times I ask it with two different browsers, it got the answer wrong. It's a very simple math question. Like, what's the sample standard deviation of 4 numbers? Like, it's a very simple calculation. The problem is that when you're like dealing with concepts and questions that may not be so simple as, is murder evil, but more complicated to deal with like people's lives. Like, hey, is it okay for me to go to a wedding of my friend who's getting married outside of the church? That's a fairly complicated question. And you're asking something that's supposed to look like Jesus and in some capacity act like Jesus. I don't know how that doesn't cause scandal, because based off what's trained in the model, the answer may be wrong in what the AI Jesus gives. And or the common cohabitation of fiancés question. Like, this is like we're not, it is very, like, even when you have parameters on AI, you can get it to say things that are contrary to what it's supposed to say. ChatGPT is a perfect example, because people have done that. When Catholic Answers did that, like, someone was able to get it to the point where it asked for you to confess your sins to it. Like, that's a pretty big deal. And like, you can only control for so much, because people are imaginative. They're going to think of new ways of trying to get around the fence of, whatever you're putting up. So when you tie an image of Jesus to something like that will not give the perfect answer 100% of the time, and then on top of that can be manipulated by people asking questions, it is inherently scandalous that that happens. Like, that altogether is just a problem. And it's going to lead people to look at this as some sort of gimmick, because it is a gimmick. It absolutely is a gimmick. Yeah, they're laicized priest bot. So let's get back to the article, because I don't want to just like pick up off it. Like, I do want to follow up with what it says. The breakdown: despite being placed in the confessional booth, the parish notes on its website that the AI installation is intended for conversations, not confessions. Confession, also called penance or reconciliation, is one of the 7 sacraments of the church and can only be performed by a priest or bishop, and never in a virtual setting. A theologian at the Swiss parish said that the project is also intended to help to get religious people comfortable with idea, and reportedly said he does see a potential for AI to help with the pastoral work for priests, given that the AI can be available at any time, 24 hours a day, so as abilities that pastors don't. Okay, so I want to stop there for a second, because I think that that's just such a BS answer. Like, it's just such a wrong answer. A theologian at the Swiss parish said that the project is also intended to help the people get religious people comfortable with AI. Okay, so that doesn't come off well, because being a religious person who is very comfortable with AI, like, and like this is basically suggesting, like, it comes off as saying you're antiquated and that you're not up to terms with what's going on. Doing this gimmick is not helpful. Like, it, in the broader capacity, it makes it look exactly the same, like the same way as the Catholic Answers AI priest. It is cringe. It is ridiculous. Nobody looks at it in a serious capacity. Like, you're looking at the idea that you can't have a priest available 24/7 doesn't mean someone can't get access to information. Like, we're talking about Switzerland. Like, when you think of Switzerland, I highly doubt you think of people who do not have the means to get onto the internet. So, like, just stopping right there, like, this idea that we're going to use AI as kind of like this channel filter for answering questions about the faith is ridiculous, because, like I said earlier, it's a probabilistic model that may give you the wrong answer if it heard it enough. In a lot of cases, that does in fact happen when you're talking about generative AI. Now, yes, it can always get better, but the problem is you're always going to have false positives, false negatives. And that's the issue, is that depending on how it's trained, you don't know what those rates are. And so, like, it creates a fundamental issue with using it in the first place. Like, so, like, you can't, if someone's asking a soul question, a question that deals with mortal sin, it is ridiculous to give them an AI machine. Like, it is a ridiculous, it's actually imprudent. It's more than imprudent. It's negligent of your responsibility. Like, if anything, you should give them literally a phone and tell them to go to Catholic Answers, or go to a number of other apologetic sites that answer the question that they're asking, because they are everywhere on the internet. There's plenty of reputable areas or reputable sites that answer these questions that you don't need to ask a random AI machine. Like, I mean, like, it's a very stupid, that is a very stupid reason. It just is. I don't care that it's available 24/7. Like, it's not going to give you the correct answer when you need the correct answer. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, this is also kind of like reflective of the fact that we have terrible catechesis, even when it comes to some of the pastoral applications from the clergy, that they think, like, they get caught up in the hype. Like, that's part of the problem, is that they get caught up in the hype of things they don't know, and they don't ask necessarily the people who have an appropriate appreciation for what the tool is and you know, I'm saying a lot of things, but this, I'm literally an expert in this. Like I'm literally an expert in dealing with AI. Okay. And the application of it, given it's a statistical model, like it is a statistical model. And so like you don't use that to give answers to people looking for them, because it's not the same as asking a person. Like it's not. All right, so I'm going to check chat for a second. I give them a giant touch screen that only goes to solid apologetic sites. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we should do. I'm not going to put all that stuff in there, although that's completely legit. If you're in chat, or you can see chat, you can see what chat. But yeah, the solution is more priests, not AI. Like, we have such a priest crisis in the at least in America. So I don't know about Switzerland. I don't see Switzerland as this gigantic bastion of Catholic clergy, not to my knowledge. But like we need more priests to be there to answer questions, and enough priests not just to maintain what we have, but to actually evangelize populations. And we seem to be lacking in that department. Like, we don't have enough to actually evangelize. So okay, we're gonna go back to the video. I'm sorry, go back to the thing, the article. So Peter, I'm not even gonna attempt that. An expert in theological ethics opined to Deutsche Welle in response to the theologian's comments that we should be careful when it comes to faith, pastoral care, and the search for meaning in religion. Exactly. This is an area in which we humans are actually vastly superior to machines, so we should do it ourselves. Boom. This guy, we're on the same level. Like, he totally gets it, and so glad he's in this article. The Swiss Art Project is the latest in a series of attempts, including an embrace of the technology at the Vatican itself, to make AI work in service of the Catholic faith, which so far has yielded mixed results. Yeah, yes, it has. It's just not. No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be used. Again, this is a gimmick. Like, this is a gimmick. Like, what we need is, like, you don't go to an AI machine to learn catechesis, like, or to be catechized. You go to a person and ask them to be catechized. Like, there should be a relationship there. It shouldn't just be sterile. And that's what AI is. It's sterile. CataGPT, for example, an artificial intelligence chatbot designed by another Swiss engineer, Nicolas Torchabouf, I hope I'm saying that right, aims to provide answers to questions about Catholic teaching by drawing on authoritative documents. See, if it's just trained on authoritative documents, like, that would be better. But you still don't use Jesus as the hologram. Like, you don't use it as the face. Other similar AI-based services have gained popularity, such as the US-based magisterial AI. I mean, like, I don't have the time to make it, but like, we could totally do that if an AI Luce, I'm just gonna say Lucy. It's like, I don't care. Lucy would be fun. Like, I think that would be interesting, to say the least, because she's kind of already there as a fill-in. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a whole video dedicated to giving the benefits and negatives of having Lucy there in the first place. But yeah, it's all right, let's see. Less successful was an AI priest created and unveiled earlier this year by the California-based apologetics apostolate Catholic Answers. Okay, which was criticized by some users for its video game-like priestly avatar. That was not the only problem. Like, that was not the only problem. Moreover, at least one user managed to goad the priestly character into hearing their confession, prompting a statement from the apostolate in which it promised to replace the priest character with a lay character named Justin. The verdict, and this verdict is from the claim of hearing confessions, all the way at the top. The AI Jesus project exists, but it's not intended to hear people's confessions or to replace a priest, at least for now, even though they stated it in the answer. Rather, it's an art exhibit created by researchers at a local technical university in concert with theologians who say they want to raise questions about the use of technology in religious settings and to demonstrate the ability of AI to answer questions about the Bible. Okay, so again, so we say we rate this claim as misleading. So this last part, okay, this is like the frustrating part. The use of technology in religious settings and to demonstrate the ability of AI to answer questions about the Bible. Why? Like, there's just simply no good reason that AI answers those questions instead of a person. And if you're going to lean on a probabilistic model that is not a person, like you're going to be leading people in a direction you don't want them to go. And you're going to be giving answers like the person, and this is the other thing. You're going to be removing one step away from responsibility. And because imagine this, someone does something, okay? Like someone does an AI thing. They ask if they can cohabitate. So imagine this in like 5 years, okay, after this has been implemented. Someone asks the question, after talking back and forth with this AI, can I cohabitate with my fiance, and in which we are in separate rooms in the same house, and that's it. Just ask that question, and the answer is going to be varied necessarily. Like it's going to be depending on who asked the questions and how many times, even on the different, as of right now, even on the different browsers. Because again, this is a probabilistic model. It's not always going to give you the same answer. And so because it's not going to give you the same answer, if person A asked the question, that person may get one answer and person B will get another and person C will get another and person D will get another. And that is the problem. And like it may happen that person A or person E gets the same answer as person B. And so you have some consistency between those two, but the other three people have gotten a completely different answer. Right. Like exactly. Like, yes, that could happen too. It might even suggest they save money by sharing a bedroom too. And so like you may get suggestions that are nonsensical in terms of a thinking person looking at the data. Like if given the data is the questions and then the teachings in relation to that question. A teacher, a priest, a theologian in person is going to be able to answer that question. A deacon, hopefully, will be able to answer that question better, significantly better than that AI. And like there is a type of ideology, or I'm sorry, not ideology, idolization that is happening with AI right now. And leaning into that is a problem because it gives us a false understanding and a false lure of what is going on in society. People are trying to find a silver bullet. They're trying to see what's happening in relation to they're trying to see what's happening in relation to the world, and they're coming to the conclusion that AI must be used to be relevant. You don't need to be relevant with AI. You are increasing the chance of error if you use AI. And like, so let's see. Okay, here's where I end the debate. AI debate, is AI Catholic? No. Okay, then I won't put my trust in it. End of discussion for me. Right, like that's the thing is like you have more trust in a person, and then this AI is just people right now trust AI at a ridiculous degree. So much so I ended up making that video Learn the Stats, my statistics channel, where I showed the whole reason I showed it was to say, don't trust this to do your homework because you will get it wrong. And if I'm doing that for something as simple as calculating the sample standard deviation, in which the Chat GPT only got it right once out of 3 times, I doubt a more complicated question is going to be answered correctly from an AI that's run by the Vatican. Even if it's the most sophisticated AI in the world, you still have a false positive rate and a false negative rate. And that's the issue. So I don't know how, I know I'm really hammering on that, but I just want to really make it known that this is the issue with using probabilistic models to give people answers to questions that deal with their eternal destiny. It is not prudent whatsoever. This is a gimmick. This is something that, they call it, it's an art exhibit created by researchers at a local technical university. That's wrong. It should say it's an art exhibit created by researchers from a local technical university, because what they're doing is they're actually using St. Peter's. They are actually doing that. That is not something that they're doing it at that local university. They are in the church. They are on sacred ground, and they are putting that in a space that is incredibly sacred, which is the confessional, where one of the best sacraments. Well, I don't want to say the best sacraments, but one of the life-giving sacraments happens. And so this isn't this whole thing is crap. I don't know how else to say it. This is this is just really dumb. So it's cringe. This is a tool. The AI Jesus is a tool, in more ways than one. And I don't know. Are they trying to get virtue points or something? I just don't understand the angle here. It's not a prudent thing to do. And when you ask, and so the last thing I'll say before I go into the chat is, when you ask AI professionals that are first and foremost AI professionals and not Catholic, you shouldn't be surprised at what they say. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case here. There may be very devout people that are just very confused, but there should have been some controls in place, because you've now made this is world news, on several different levels. This is world news, and it's scandalous. It gives it suggests so many actual problems that I'm trying to word this the best I can. This suggests too many problems from the answers given for why they put it in a church, to make people who go to church more related to or more comfortable with AI. That's incredibly presumptuous on the part of the scientists. And then to again suggest that the guy or the machine, the tool that looks like Jesus, will answer your sincere questions in a way that is accurate, is also a problem. It's wrong. I don't know how else to say that. It is wrong to do this. And it's one thing if it's an AI machine by itself. It's another thing to have the face of Jesus on it. And it's another thing also to put it in a confessional booth. There are so many things that there are layers to this that just make it ridiculous with every additional layer. So that's my 2 cents on the subject. I know I just spent a half hour Like, it sounds like a rant, but it's not. Like, there are several points here that just don't make sense. Um, like, this is too worldly. Like, at the end of the day, this is too worldly, and it's going into the fad of the idolization of technology. And that is a serious problem. So that's my TED Talk. Not that they would ask me to go, but that's fine. Like, got to be cool with the kids these days. They must want AI, not like incense and tradition. I mean, those of us that know AI do want incense and tradition. Like that, whatever. The whole thing is what the plot of what Warrior Nun was about, basically. Okay. I don't know. I know I came off like really strong, but it's just because I know this space. Like, I know this space, and like this is just not a prudent thing. So like yeah, I'm just gonna not rant about it anymore. Seems like the sort of thing Jesus might have flipped tables and whipped people for. Yep. Like, this is, I mean, because you're bringing in technology in a way that's not, you're bringing in the world into the church in a way that is not okay. It's one thing. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's wrong whatsoever that a priest uses an iPad for his homily. Like, I don't think that's wrong at all, because he's utilizing the modern day understanding of parchment, right? Like, that's what he's doing. He's using the appropriate medium for exactly what it is, and he's doing that. The problem is that they're literally dressing it up as Jesus in a sacred space. Let's see. So the bishop may not know. Like, I mean, that's the thing too. Like, the bishop may not know. Yeah. So I don't know what else to say to that. Hopefully someone tells him about it if he hasn't already heard, that the world knows about his AI Jesus in his confessional booth in one of his churches. Like, yeah, yeah. Should hear the people that complain about a white noise machine outside confessionals. I've never heard anybody complain about it. Like, that's what we do at our parish, and so like that would be really surprising to do that, like to hear people. Yeah, I hope he has questions now too, because like, again, like, this is just not, it's not a prudent thing to do. So that's my 2 cents about it. I think the article was well written. I think it does break things down pretty well. There was another article in which I believe the priest or the AI scientist came out and stated, don't give it specific information that you don't want to share to the AI, which suggests to me that it's banking it somewhere, that it's like there's stored information in a way that it's either learning from it, or frankly speaking, like they're going to, the AI scientists are going to review it later and see the deposit of questions and calculate, like look at and tally all the different questions it was asked, and then maybe further train it if it's not already trained to take in new information. So please share this, because I do think that this angle is missed. Like, so in this case, I am saying that, like, please share this, because, I did this because I do think this angle should be said. Given my background, given my expertise, given the people I work with and who I like, literally went to like I said earlier, literally went to an AI conference a month ago. Like, we need to, and it, like, it wasn't like an AI, like, ooh, like kind of thing. It's like, no, like, we're all experts and we're all talking to each other about this. So, and so like, I don't want to give the impression that this is simply just a generic AI conference, because it wasn't. It was like professional AI conference. So I will let you guys go. Thank you for joining me, and no more Midwest goodbye. So have a great weekend.